welcome to another episode of Entrepreneurs in Fuego. We're documenting the journey of remarkable entrepreneurs. My new best friend, Ed Johnson. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Francisco. Good to go.
University Growth Solutions. Tell us a little bit about University Growth Solutions.
Well, it's really the outcome of 30 plus years in higher education in Arizona and around the country, where I've led public and private institutions, for-profit and not-for-profit.
All right.
So over time, with my legal background and a doctorate, I was pulled more and more into difficult situations for colleges and universities who needed transactional solutions, or were just looking for innovative, high-growth solutions where finances and populations were stable,
Okay.
but looking for significant growth long-term as a university or college.
Public or in private as well, or
Yes, but primarily in the private sector.
so?
I work
so
with-
give me an example. For instance, your latest project.
So I am working for a California graduate university who wants to build online graduate programs,
All right.
but they have a strong social justice mission. So what I created for them was a concept of a global learning network that once they build the infrastructure for credit courses and degrees, they can push short-term educational content to developing nations, because we've solved all but the last mile problem in terms of being able to educate anybody in the world, which is the first time higher education can claim that opportunity. So you might have a healthcare issue, you might have starting a small business, you might have financial literacy issues. So we will work with other non-governmental organizations and companies who are in developing countries
Got it.
then to send that content, because digitizing content now costs next to nothing to push once you create it for credential programs like degrees and diplomas. Then you can disaggregate it now and give it away for free
Wow.
to those who can't afford to go to college.
So you are brought in by these institutions, these private institutions that want to create their own curriculum, and you put together what is specifically for them, so that I understand.
Yeah, I really give them the big idea.
Okay.
So
All right.
they execute, but nobody
Okay.
right now is pushing free content around the world to people in need. It's all packaged by, you pay for college credits and you ultimately sum it to a degree or a diploma. But there's something called MOOCs, massively open online courses, that are testing the notion of free courses to people who want to just sign up, take the course, but not get college credit for it. So there's some pioneers in this area.
And how are they funded, though, the university? Whoever's providing this content that is free to obtain and digitize, but who, at the end of the day, somebody has to pay for this.
Yeah, so in the short term, it's foundations and private equity who are trying to find a business model to offer college courses for free.
Okay.
What I'm talking about is taking a piece of a college course and meeting organically developed content in Haiti. What do I do after the hurricane strikes in terms of discrete pieces of how to survive,
Sure.
let alone how to grow as an employee, where I may be working in a developing country factory, for example. How do I get additional skills to move on to the next level? I may not be connected with the universities or colleges in that country, but if I can pull these discrete learning experiences off my cell phone, then I can self-educate myself, not to get a diploma or degree, but to develop a skill set to help my family and my career.
Which begs the question. I understand putting that content together and make it accessible to a large number of people that may not otherwise have it. But you need that vehicle called the internet or communication in order to get to
Yes.
those regions
Yes.
that may not have it. I mean, we take internet, for granted. We open up our phones and it's there, and wherever we go there is Wi-Fi, so we can always connect to something. But those regions that don't have internet yet, and in fact a large swath of our global population still do not have access to internet. How do we solve that? Or is that part of your, I don't want to say curriculum, but part of our mission,
Yeah.
if you will?
No, great point. So there's several billion people who don't have access to internet as we speak. As Wayne Gretzky said, I skate to where the puck is going. And between Mark Zuckerberg, Google, and a number of startups, they're going to solve for the issue of connectivity, principally through satellite, drone, balloon technology.
Sure.
Very promising technologies now that within a few years, in concept, anybody with a cell phone anywhere can link to our network. So the permanence of a university has both the ability to develop and improve content over time, but also to house the infrastructure that allows anyone to tap into our servers and our faculty. And we think we're going to attract many early retirees who have content expertise,
Sure.
who don't want to play golf all day and would like to be affiliated with this kind of a not-for-profit enterprise that just continually generates new content over time. And you have to overcome language translation
Sure.
issues.
You
And but our view is you develop the content organically within a zip code, a country, a region, a province. You tell us what you need, and we'll develop the content. Whereas historically, higher education's role has been, we know what's best for you. Come to our classroom, sit, we'll lecture to you, and if you pass our courses, you eventually will get a credential. So this emergence of the networked world and where that's going to go in terms of creating networks of scholars and teachers around subject matters is so much easier already to bring those people together virtually and to create content not for profit, not even for profit, but to do the right thing from a humanitarian standpoint.
And I think that is kind of revolutionary. The way that I'm seeing it is basically bringing out a little bit of a virtual Socratic method, if you will, to as a vehicle to provide people who can't access the traditional university or the traditional vehicles to learn by providing all this free content, basically.
Yeah. So we're also advising a major human performance firm to develop a badge program similar to the coding world. You don't have to go to a traditional college or university. You can go to a coding boot camp and earn a badge, it's just another word for a credential.
Right.
And I've got a job waiting at Intel or a gaming company at the end of a 6-month experience. We think we need to do the same content generation for soft skills. For so many employers who are saying, you may come out with the right hard skills, but you're really not able to integrate fully into the workforce and into management positions because you don't have those interpersonal skills.
Correct. And I was going to ask you that because we are, as a society, developing to a more specialized society, if you will. I mean, you're talking about coding, right? I mean, that is very, very specialized. You graduate from college, but unless your major was computer science, you may not know coding unless you took it up as a hobby, if you will. So do you see in the future more of this type of education that you're describing right now, a little bit more of a specialized 6-month intense or 8-month intense batch type of education, or instead of credential or college credential, that will fuel and run our educational system? Yeah,
so that's where higher education is going as we speak. But it's just like the Wright brothers stage in terms of evolutions. So you've got issues of affordability.
Right.
I can't afford a 4-year degree.
It's very expensive.
You've got issues of there are certain entry-level positions where I don't need an expensive 4-year degree yet to be economically viable for my family. Industry is pressuring colleges and universities to do the training that they used to do on the job. So they've got a business reason to try to push this short-term learning back into colleges and universities that historically haven't done that. If it didn't ultimately sum to a college degree, that's not what we do. But they're being pressured in terms of revenues, so they're trying to see if they can scale these short-term credential programs and make money. And so some really promising models are starting to emerge. And as a college president, I got so weary of employers bashing us for not certifying soft skills on the way to graduation day. So we're trying to figure out whether the development of those soft skills don't really need to go through a college or university. Can go through a third party. My third client, we're developing an East-West University consortium in China for the government at a new cultural and entertainment park that's going to draw students into the economics of where China's going in terms of an emerging middle class that's looking for recreational and learning experiences and already starting to look at retirement centers in that country. So those are the kind of innovative ideas that my firm and I specialize in. Then we get the operational pieces. We bring in experts in those particular operational issues.
You've been in academia all your life. What's the best advice you received?
Best advice is live your passion as a businessman in a not-for-profit environment and learn to facilitate the creation of preferred futures for your organizations. So life is going to happen to an organization. So the ability to think strategically, to be a social entrepreneur,
sure.
You've got to facilitate as a leader, not to demand or to bring down from on high. But the real challenge in colleges and universities is to make it their idea and really connect the dots from what the world wants from your organization. So the best advice I got out of that from a mentor was, why wouldn't you cold call Habitat for Humanity International in 1998 and tell them you would build a leadership college for them and ask them what's the next best thing to have in your own university? Oh, that's interesting, tell me more. 6 strategic conversations later, we're their official Habitat University in little old rural Kansas.
Wow.
So it's like, be a great listener and then be able to execute on the preferred future that your organization has identified it wants to be a part of. And that's my career, and I'm just getting started.
It sounds to me, man. I mean, you're just like, this is just my beginning.
Well, this is scaling change rather than one institution at a time. So I could have gone and fixed number 4. And my advisor said, no, you really ought to scale the change agency of this and go rock a wider world than one college or university at a time.
Amazing.
And get to live in the great city of Phoenix. So
That's a great vision, and we appreciate you being on the show.
Well,
I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
With that, go out.